object, the band, and the audience. We ask that everyone participate by writing one word on the cards that will be circulated to you. That word can be anything: a thought, emotion, object, noun, pronoun, anything. From that point, your card will be taken to the stage where the musicians will in turn your words into music, taking that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality. In that thought and making it a sonic reality.
I'm not getting any. There it is.
Right, say something again. Just whatever.
Hi.
Alright, now, can you get that? It's kind of hard. It's okay. Now say something.
Check. 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 Check.
Alright, I'll adjust it as we go.
Good evening. I'm Debbie and this is Greg. We know most of you. The first song we'd like to do is an old Shaker song called Simple Gift. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come out right. Next one's a song I learned from my little sister called One Tin Soldier. Listen, children, to a story that was written long ago about a kingdom on a mountain and the valley folk below. On the mountain was a treasure buried deep beneath the stone, and the people swore they'd have it for their very own. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it to the end. But there won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day, the bloody morning after. One tin soldier rides away. So the people of the valley sent a message up the hill, asking for the buried treasure, tons of gold for which they'd kill. Came an answer from the mountain, with our brothers we will share all the secrets of our mountain, all the riches buried there. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. But there won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day, the bloody morning after. One tin soldier rides away. Cried with anger, mount your horses, draw your swords. So they killed the mountain people, and they won their just reward. Now they stood beside the treasure on the mountain, dark and red. Turned the stone and looked beneath it. Peace on earth was all it said. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. But there won't be any trumpets blowing on the judgment day, on the bloody morning after. One tin soldier rides away.
There's a tune that Pink Floyd did. It's called Fearless. You said it was too steep to climb. Time
sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. The mountains crumble to the sea, there would still be you and me. Kind woman, give you my all. Kind woman, nothing more. So today my world is smile. Your hand in mine, we walk the mile. Thanks to you, it will be done. For you to be here, the only one. Happiness, no more beside. Happiness, no hunger. It's drops of rain, a whisper of the pain, years of love lost in the days gone by. My love is strong with you, there is no wrong. Together we shall go on till we die. Mama, inspiration's what you want to me. Inspiration, love you sees. If the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. Mountains crumble to the sea, and there would still be you and me.
It's called Thank You by Led Zeppelin. The next one is a tune called The Diggers that we learned from a friend of ours when we were on the road. It's an old folk tune, I think from Ireland.
Its message was from the mid 1600s, but it withstands time for sure.
1649, St. Georgesville, a ragged band they called the Diggers came to show the people's will. They defied the landlords, they defied the laws. They were the dispossessed, reclaiming what was theirs. We come in peace, they said, to dig and sow. We come to work the land in common and to make the wasteland grow. This earth divided we will make whole, so it can be a common treasury for all. The sin of property we do disdain. No one has any right to buy or sell this earth for private gains. By theft and murder they took the land. Now everywhere the walls rise up at their command. They make the laws to chain us well. Their clergy dazzle us with heaven, or they damn us into hell. We will not worship the God you serve, a God of greed who feeds the rich while the poor folks starve. We work, we eat together, we need no swords. We will not bow to the masters, nor pay rent to the lords. Still we are free, though we are poor. You diggers all stand up for glory, stand up now. From the men of property the orders came. They sent their hired men and troopers to wipe out the diggers' claim, tear down their cottages, destroy their corn. They were dispersed, only their vision lingers on. You poor take courage, you rich take care. This earth was made a common treasury for everyone to share. All things in common, all people one. We come in peace, the orders came to cut them down. We come in peace, they said, to dig and sow. We come to work the land in common and to make the wasteland grow. Still we are free, though we are poor. You diggers all stand up for glory, stand up now. Next song we're going to do is called Hear It by John Anderson. Mystic voice of voices long forgotten o'er, lines of thunder emptying forth the power of the given Lord. It's in the joyful tales of princes and their battle quest, downward being truth and goodness to crush all life's evilness. Mountainside where nature spills her quiet eyes, the days of paradise are there in the dawning of the morning skies. song and verse. We just want someone share with me the feelings of the universe. Here it is, a mystic pulse of forces unforgotten. Lines of thunder and forth the power of a gifted light. Here it is, joyful tales of princes and the battle quest. Drama being truth and goodness to crush all the seasonals. Here it comes a mountainside where nature spills up by joys. The days of paradise are there, the dawning of the morning star. Here it is, love we share this firmament of song and verse. Just come home and share with me the feelings of the universe.
Thank you very much. The next song's an old spiritual called Down by the Riverside.
Don't leave me my burden down, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Don't lay me my burden down, down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna 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 study war no more.
Let's take this one. Yeah. That's kind of weird.
Sorry about that. It's really hard to hear ourselves with the other music.
Can we like a little more minor? Can we a little more minor? It's like, it's hard to keep the key.
Nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, yeah. So we give me some more guitar minor?
Yeah. That guitar is accurate.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I give you what I can.
Try that one more time.
What?
Gonna lay me my burden down, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay me my burden down, down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna 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 study war no more. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna 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 study war no more. I'll put on my simple clothes down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna put on my simple clothes down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna 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 study war no more. That old path of peace down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna walk that old path of peace down by the riverside and study war no more. study one on one. With everyone down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna join hands with everyone down by the riverside and study one on more. Ain't gonna study one 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 more. It's really hard to do.
What? Sure. Yeah, it's kind of hard to. It's just there's no like the feedback of it's just like
What?
I know there's gonna be feedback, so I mean I understand the time. It's like of the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist like Lord Holly. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Paul and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sails. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow when near they came, and pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Of the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in the light of Honey. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Dragons live forever, but not so little boys. Painted strings and sealing wax make way for other toys. One great day it happened, Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff that magic dragon is
I'd like to sing a song for y'all now.
Okay, this is called Psychedelic Crickets for Murray Fleury. Your mind forms a circle, a looking glass dream, and all of the people are not who they seem. Your face is all lit now with a green hazy glow. Your tears fall in rainbows
bright rainbows of snow, and the sky is no more above, and the earth, it is filled with love. The field is a forest, a mountain, a hill. As you run through the meadows, your muscles stay still. It is rumored the children wish they were so young, when a swing was an angel and the ice cream man sung. And the clouds will soon fade away. For our love, it is here to stay. So life is worth living, you can't lose your mind. For the crazy are saying now, the killers are kind. Yet somehow these people are still getting old. They've lost all their passion, their souls have been sold. But their lives can be renewed. For the love I share with you. Your mind forms a circle, a looking glass dream, and all of the people are not who they seem. Your face is all lit now with a green hazy glow. Your tears fall in rainbows, bright rainbows of snow. And the sky is no more above, and the earth, it is filled with love. This is a song by Kate Wolf called Brother Warrior. Gentle warrior, with your heart like gold and a rainbow in your eyes. Brave companion, do you see a world shining in the sky? With your body dancing like an arrow, spreading joy beneath your feet, and your hands that wave like tall grass in the wind as you speak, with the shyness of a small child and the wisdom of a sage. I tell you now, there is no reason Your smiles in the sunlight. I hear your songs in the rain, and I hold you here inside me. I feel your love and know your pain. At this time when the earth is waking to the dawn of another age, I tell you now, there is no reason to be afraid. We were crying for a vision that all living things can share, and those who care are with us everywhere. Thanks a lot.
One back here. I'm gonna put
Honey.
You want to take it out of the clip? Hold it.
Don't need my hands. I got some stories for you about North Carolina. That's where I'm from. Actually, I've lived in Ohio for about 14 years. It's been nice, but I've got some really good memories from North Carolina I'd like to share with you. You know, there's a lot of things, if you've been to North Carolina, you've seen. Like, there's some really nice mountains there, and the ocean. We have some good people. We have quite a few snakes. You know, I know here in Ohio you have a few snakes too. You have copperheads, I've been told. It's the kind of snakes you have to watch out for that are in the woods.
And if you're walking along, you might step on one, think it's a snake, or think it's a stick, or you could be in the water and come up on some water moccasins. They come take your life right from you. But here in Ohio, you don't have a snake that we have in North Carolina. It's called a hoop snake. And I think the reason it got its name was because the way it travels. You see, a hoop snake can grow to be 10 feet long. And I think because it's that big is why it doesn't travel like other snakes. It doesn't slither along the ground. What it does is it takes all 10 feet once it gets full grown, and it stretches itself as far out as it can. And then it opens up its mouth as wide as it can, and it throws its tail up in the air, and then it catches its tail. And then once it's got its tail in its mouth, and it flips itself up on its side, and it starts rocking back and forth until it starts rolling. And then it starts rolling, head over tail, head over tail, head over tail, right down the road. Now, if you're in North Carolina and you happen to see one of those snakes coming your way, you want to get out of its way, because it's a very poisonous snake. And you may be wondering, now, how can a snake that's got its mouth involved around its tail be that poisonous? It's because this snake does not carry its poison in its mouth. It carries it in the tip of its tail, the part that's hanging out from its mouth. Let me tell you how poisonous they are. When I was a little bitty girl, much smaller than I am right now, I was at my grandma's house. And my grandma lived so far out in the country, the farmers thought she lived out in the country. And I was out there, and it was summertime, and it was hot. And if you've ever been out south in the summer, you know the best place you can be is either inside or in the shade. And that's where I was. I was under an umbrella tree. Now, if you don't know what an umbrella tree is, they're the kind of tree that one leaf on the other sort of grows nice and thick, and it just stretches its limbs way out and makes a really nice shade. And I was playing underneath it, and she had a dirt road that ran in front of her house, and that tree was near that road, and I was sort of staring down that red clay road, and I noticed there was a cloud of dust coming my way. And as I was watching, I thought, gosh, you know, that can't be somebody running. They wouldn't throw up that much dust. And it's not a bicycle, because I can't see a bicycle. And it's not a truck or car, because I can't see a truck or car. And the more I watched, the closer it got. And the closer it got, I realized it was a hoop snake. And I got real excited, and I ran inside screaming, it's a hoop snake, it's a hoop snake. And I told my mom and my grandma to come on outside, let's see this thing. Now I was on my way out the front door, and they grabbed, one of them grabbed my shorts, the other grabbed my shirt and said, young lady, you stay right in here and you watch that snake. So that's what we did. My grandmother had a window, looked out across her porch, through the tree into the road, and sure enough, a little bit, that snake came head over tail, right by. And you know, I don't know if you've ever ridden a bicycle or something like that over gravel, but you know when you get on it, it sort of makes you whippy-woppy. Well, when that snake hit my grandmother's driveway, she had a bunch of little gravel right in that driveway, little rocks. And it started whipping and whopping back and forth, and it lost control, and it went bam right into that umbrella tree, and it stuck its tail right into that tree. And then we got to watch it wiggle back and forth, until finally it got itself unstuck. And then we got to watch it stretch itself all the way out, and then open his mouth as wide as he could, and he was a full-grown hoop snake, 10 feet long. He threw his tail up in the air and whoo, caught it, flipped himself up on his side, started rocking back and forth, and rolled on out of sight. But you know what? That tree where he was stuck was dead 1 week later. So if you're ever in North Carolina and you happen to see a hoop snake coming your way, you get out of its way. Snakes. You're very nice. Now I've got one more for you. You know, you guys may come from a very large family like I do. I come from such a big family that I tell you, it would probably take me half a day to name all their names. Yeah. So I'm not going to bore you with all that. What I'm going to do instead is tell you a story about one of my favorite relatives, my Uncle Joe. Now, my Uncle Joe was one of the meanest and nastiest, orneriest men you could ever meet. That is, until the revival came to town, and he got saved. Oh yeah, he was saved all good and proper. Of course, that is, it was real hard for a lot of my cousins and uncles to believe he was really saved. My Uncle Joe had a store, and they decided that maybe they should hang out at his store and see how saved he really was. So that's just what they did. And it's a good thing they did that, too, because the very first day they were there in their wooden chairs leaning up against the wall, in came little Tommy. Now, little Tommy was a future Uncle Joe. He was mean, and he was ornery, and he was also dirty from head to foot. And he came in, he was sort of rubbing his hand underneath his running nose, and he was sort of looking real careful at my Uncle Joe, because my Uncle Joe had thrown him out on his ear more times than you could count out of his store. He came in, and Uncle Joe saw him, and he says, "Well, hi there, little Tommy. How you doing today?" Little Tommy looked like he'd been shot. "I'm doing fine." And he sort of looked like he was ready to run at any moment. He says, "Come on in, honey. Tell me what you want." Little Tommy saddled into the store. He was worried to death and Uncle Joe was up to something, and usually he would have been. He says, "What you want, honey?" He says, "I want some candy." And he was holding up a dirty, nasty little nickel. "Well, sure you do. All little boys do. You come right on over here." And believe it or not, my uncles and cousins told me that Uncle Joe picked up his biggest glass jar of candy, and he lifted the lid off of it, and he let little Tommy put his dirty, nasty, grubby hand down in that jar, pick up a whole handful of candy. With so much in his hand, he could barely get his hand out of the jar. Uncle Joe didn't do what he normally says and said, "Put half of that back." He got out a paper sack, held it so little Tommy could put his hand down in it, shook his wrist so he'd let go of the candy, took his hand off, twisted it, gave him the bag, and took the nickel. Little Tommy ran as fast as he could out of that store. He wasn't going to see if Uncle Joe was kidding. And Uncle Joe, my uncles, and cousins watched him go over to his cash register. They had one of those old-fashioned cash registers, you know, wooden kind with the great big dials you push down. And he rang up 5 cents. And he tenderly laid down that nickel and gently closed the drawer. And then he sort of took his hands and he put it over the cash register like he was going to say a prayer over it. And he said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." Now that really took my uncles and my cousins back. They thought maybe he has been saved. Maybe the good Lord has done a miracle. Maybe lightning can strike twice. Maybe they had lost their minds. Maybe they should stick around another day and see what happens. So it's a good thing they did, too, because the very next day, in came Miss Sally. Now, I want y'all folks to know that Miss Sally was our local spinster. Everybody knew she was never, ever going to get married. I mean, she was over 30, and she was real skinny, and, well, that was just the way it was. But nobody had ever had the meanness or the guts to tell her that except Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe had told her one day and made her go crying out the store, "Ain't no good-minded man ever gonna marry such a skinny old biddy as her." That's just how mean he was until he got saved. Well, she came into the store. She came in with her head down. She sort of looking like she was worried about what was going to happen to her. And she sidled in, and she nodded her head at my uncles and my cousins, and she walked up to the counter. And Uncle Joe turned around and saw her. He didn't really even see her come in. He says, "Well, hi there, Miss Sally. How are you doing today?" She looked totally shocked out of her mind. "I'm fine, Mr. Joe. How are you doing?" "Well, what can I do for you?" "You look mighty pretty today in that new dress." Miss Sally couldn't believe it. She sort of threw her shoulders back and lifted her chin up. She says, "Well, thank you, sir. I'm here because it's my daddy's birthday, and I'd like to get him some nice handkerchiefs. You think you got any?" Uncle Joe says, "I'm sure I got just the thing. Just hang on." And my cousins couldn't believe it. He went over and got the ladder, the kind you scoot on along the shelves. He got that, and he pushed it along, and then he climbed up on the highest rung, and then he reached way out. I mean, he really had to go to some trouble to get this down. And he brought down this beautifully wrapped up in fancy cellophane paper handkerchiefs. They were gorgeous. And then, without her even asking, he wrapped them up in fancy paper that said "Happy Birthday" on it and put a bow on it. Miss Sally says, "Mr. Joe, I don't think I can afford that. That's too dear." He says, "Oh, I'm sure you can afford $2.50, can't you, Miss Sally?" "Yes, sir. And she just took it and went floating out of there like she had wings on her feet. My uncles and my cousins couldn't believe it. Uncle Joe went over to the cash register. He pushed $2.50. He tenderly laid down that $2.50 in the drawer, closed it gently. He did that prayer thing again over the cash register, and he said, "Honor thy mother and thy father." Well, if that didn't bust the buttons off their britches, I don't know what did. I mean, maybe they should stay around one more day. Things had a way of changing in threes, you know. Magic number 3. So that's what they did. And they all said it was a mighty good thing. That's exactly what they did, because the next day in a cloud of dust rode up a stranger in a red, shiny Ford pickup truck. And he was hauling a silver horse trailer behind it. He got out of the car. He came into my Uncle Joe's store. He slammed his screen door. He came in with his thumbs hooked into a pair of brand new stonewashed Levi's jeans. He had on pointed cowboy leather boots. They looked like they'd just been bought and shined. He had on one of them big, tall cowboy hats and a plaid shirt with brass buttons up and down it. He walked all the way up to my uncle's counter like he owned the place, and he said, "Storekeep, I need me a horse blanket." My Uncle Joe looked at him and says, "Well, I reckon I have one of those. Let me go back to my storeroom and check." So that's what he did, and my uncles and cousins watched him go back in the storeroom. They could lean back their chairs and sort of see him, you see. And he went back, and sure enough, in a far back corner, he had himself some horse blankets. And he pulled out one, he took it, and he shook it out real good. And there were a couple of holes in it, but it was in pretty good shape. He folded it up and put it on his arm, and he came in and he laid it down on the counter. And he looked the man in the eye, and he says, "That'll be $10. Now, the stranger took one look at that blanket. He looked up at my Uncle Joe. Then he looked over at my uncles and my cousins. Then he looked back at my Uncle Joe and he says, "What do you think I got out in that trailer?" My Uncle Joe sort of looked at the trailer and he says, "I reckon you got yourself a horse." He says, "Mister, I ain't got just any kind of horse. I got myself one of the best Tennessee walking horses you have ever seen. He's got a pedigree that goes from here, well, I can't tell you how long it is. And you expect me to put a $10 horse blanket on it? Ain't you got anything better than that?" My uncle sort of looked down at that blanket, and he sort of took a deep breath, and scratched his head, and he scratched his ear, and he looked up at the stranger, and he said, "Yeah, I bet I got something you need." And he took that horse blanket, and he went back in the storeroom. My cousins and my uncle sort of leaned back and watched him. He went to the very same pile of blankets he went to the very first time, but this time he sort of dug down a little further, and he reached out and pulled himself a blanket out. He shook that one out, and the dust just sort of flew. There were fewer holes in that one. Then he folded it up. He brought it in under his arm just like the other time, set it down, and he said, "Now, sir, this is a little more expensive blanket. And this one, I'm afraid, will cost you $35. Stranger looked at that blanket. He turned around, full body, and looked out at his horse trailer. Then he looked back at my uncle and he says, "You must not have been listening to me. I got myself one of the finest Tennessee walking horses you have ever laid your eyes on. It's one of the best pedigree stallions. It's going to make me all sorts of money, and you expect me to put a $35 horse blanket on it? Ain't you got anything better than that?" My Uncle Joe sort of cleared his voice. He looked at the stranger. He looked down that blanket. And finally, after a little bit of hesitation, he ripped that blanket off the counter, and he went back to the storeroom again. They watched him. He went back to the very same pile of blankets. This time he went to the very bottom, and he pulled one out. He shook it out as far as he could, and it had only 1 or 2 holes in it. He folded it up really nice. They said it took him a little while to do it. It did creases in it and the whole thing. He came out carrying it like it was fine china or special jewelry. He laid it real tender down the counter, put his 2 hands on top of it, and said, "Now, sir, you have pushed me really hard to sell you something really good. You've asked me for my very best. And this here blanket is imported all the way from England, and it's going to cost you $99.99. The stranger got a funny little smile on his face. He pulled out a brand new cow rawhide billfold snap whipped out a $100 bill, slapped it down on the counter, snatched up that blanket, went sashaying out, slammed the screen door behind him, threw the blanket in the back of the horse trailer, hopped in his truck, and disappeared in a cloud of smoke. They all watched him leave. And then my cousins and my uncles turned around and watched Uncle Joe. He took one finger and slid that $100 bill right over towards him. He held it up to the light. He popped it a little bit, went over to his cash register, rang up a $99.99, slid it into the drawer, closed the drawer, folded his hands over the cash register, gonna say a prayer again, and said, "He was a stranger, and I took him in." And that's the story of my Uncle Joe. Thank you very much. You're very kind. You have a real good day and enjoy the community festival. And anytime you get a chance, come to North Carolina.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello, 1, 2. Is this thing on? 1, 2. Hello. How's everybody doing right now? Right about right now. How are you? All right. Well, we're gonna give this thing a go. My name's Rob Brumfiel. Glad you showed up here. Wonderful thing, this community festival. How about a hand for the people putting it on? The organizers. LeGrand back here working his buns off. If you like it, be sure and let them know how much you appreciate it. I'm gonna do some different stuff. I'm gonna do some stuff and then get a good buddy of mine, Gaylord, up here in a bit here. I laid out for Reno, I was shelled by 20 hounds. Sleep last night till the morning came around. Set out running, gonna take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Well, ran into the devil, baby, loaned me 20 guns. Spent the night in Utah and I came up in the hills. Set out running, gonna take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Yeah, I ran into the levee, but the devil caught me there. I took my $20 bill and he vanished in the air. Set out running, gonna take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Yeah, I got 2 reasons why I cry and wait each lonely night. Yeah, the first one's named Sweet Hallelujah, she's my horse tonight. The second one is Prison Bear, sheriff's on my trail. And if he catches up to me, I'll spend my life in jail. Yeah, the first one named Sweet Hallelujah, she's my horse tonight. The second one is Prison Bear, the sheriff's on my trail. And if he catches up to me, I'll spend my life in jail. Yeah, I got a wife and she know, baby, Cherokee. First one says she's got my child, but it don't look like me. I said I'll run, gonna take my time. I'm a friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Thank you. Well, since we got so much ambient competition going on from the stage and stuff, I decided to cut out all the sensitive stuff. Anyway, here's a toast to all you folks. Community Fest, and may they last another 20 years. All right, this is one of mine called Global Village. Doesn't make much sense to give a man something beautiful. He has to leave his mark on it. Something saying I was here. No, it doesn't make much sense. All the violence, all the destruction, the desecration. No, it doesn't make much sense to me. Changes in the earth since I was young. Winter's getting warmer, sunlight's getting deadly warm. Yeah, the greenhouse effect, Hollywood didn't direct. It took years of neglect to look the other way. Hey people, it's the only world that we've got. It won't be easy to fix what's wrong. We're gonna have to fight this, we're gonna have to do it. And we can't stand by while she's raped, plundered and pillaged our only global village. There was a mighty lesson learned by the Jews in World War II, by those who did nothing, by those who watched while neighbors died. But by then it was too late. Inaction sealed their fate. Nothing's gonna change with your head in the sand. Hey people, it's the only world that we've got. It won't be easy to fix what's wrong. We're gonna have to fight, yes, we're gonna have to give a damn. We can't stand by while she's raped, plundered and pillaged our only global village. Plundered and pillaged our only global village. Hey people, it's the only world that we've got. We won't be easy to fix what's wrong. We're gonna have to fight, yes, we're gonna have to give it. And we can't stand by while she's raped, plundered and pillaged our only global village. Plundered and pillaged our only global village. Thank you. Well, according to the program here, okay, here we go. This is fun. Hey, this is great. This boy, the wind makes this thing move. It's like a living, breathing thing, isn't it, big old champion? Yeah, you got it. It's called "I Almost Fell for You." chance. He'd push you too far and you wouldn't back down. It was the end of your romance. Well, I met you on the rebound. Now you're bouncing back to him. Well, some things will never change, unfortunately for him. Should have waited and let some time go by. Before we got involved, I had a premonition you'd be running back to your guy. Well, there goes the seafood dinner and the camping trip we planned. Some things will never change, unfortunately for your man. Oh, and I almost fell for you, but I got myself just in time. And I only hurts a little bit now, just knowing that you'll never be mine. He's got great taste in women, yeah, almost as good as mine. And I almost fell for you, but I caught myself just in time. Yes, I did. I know that's gone. It's an instant replay of a time before. Another woman trying to leave another man. Maybe you like her, can't see me when you can. Oh yeah, we were really something. It was a wild, wild weekend. And then comes Monday after what we did Sunday, and you're back with your boyfriend. Well, you're a dangerous woman and my chances look pretty slim. Some things will never change, unfortunately for him. Oh, and I almost fell for you, but I caught myself just in time. Now it only hurts a little bit, just to know that you'll never be mine. He's got great taste in women, yeah, almost as good as mine. And I almost fell for you, but I got myself just in time. Yes, I got myself just in time. Yes, I did. What? Kingston Trio. Really? You want to hear that one? Yeah. Got anybody else remember the Kingston Trio in here? Yeah, I grew up on this. Okay, I wasn't going to do it, but I'll do it anyway. What the? Oh man, long time. Yeah, my dad used to play their records around the house. Anyway, this one's one of my favorite ones. It's called Scotch and Soda. Scotch and soda, mud in your eye. Oh, baby, do I feel high? Oh, me, oh, my. Or do I feel high? A dry martini, a jigger of jam. Oh, smell you got me and whoa, my. Do I feel high? Well, people don't believe me. Well, they think that I'm just bragging. Oh, that I could feel the way I do. I still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles, a sunshine from your eyes. Oh, me, oh, my. Do I feel higher than a kite can fly? Give me loving, baby, I feel high. Well, people don't believe me. Well, they think that I'm just bragging. Oh, I could feel the way I do and still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles, a sunshine from your eyes. Oh, me, oh, my. Or do I feel higher than a kite can fly? Hell yeah. Oh, give me loving, baby. I feel. Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks. Okay, I'm gonna do an obscure Neil Young tune. What the heck? Every solo guy does Neil Young, right? Well, you guys are easy. This is great. Be sure and support this festival. Buy beer. Motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big spike down? Oh, motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big spike down? I always get in trouble when you bring it around. Oh, motorcycle mama, won't you lay it down? Yeah. I'm running down that proud highway. Yeah, I'm running down that proud highway. As long as I keep moving, I won't need a place to stay. Yeah, yeah. Motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big spine down? Oh, motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big spine down? I always get in trouble when you bring it around. Motorcycle mama, won't you lay it down? I hope that you can read my mail. I just escaped last night from the Memory County Jail. I see your box is open and your flag is up. My message is ready at this time I number you. Motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big spine down? Motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big spine down? Yeah. I always get in trouble when you bring it around. Motorcycle mama, won't you lay it down? I said, bring your big spike around. In a minute. Yeah.
In a minute.
I'm going to do one more and then get a good friend of mine, Gaylord Big Daddy Eduardo Dubois, up. Anybody catch the mob last night? Oh, good show, good show. Squids did great too, don't you think? Yeah. Okay, this is kind of a new song of mine, sort of. Why is love like a hurricane? Mighty winds like a lion's roar. Why is love like a tidal wave? Battered hearts on human shores. Why does this always happen? How does it come to this? All I know is the ground was shaking and I lost my heart with our first kiss. Through the eye of the storm we ride, and things will seem so right. With circling walls of wailing wind, can rip your day and the night. I remember how it used to be. I remember you and I didn't know that I'd even fall until I was looking at the sky. I understood what love was about. A changing seasons and a changing sky. Changes happening to you and I. You and I. You and The other night I had a wondrous dream. It was many years from now. You and I up on a floating platform, high above the clouds. Reclining, yes, we were so serene, watching airships drifting by. I woke up with a glow and feeling that somehow our love would survive. Understood what love was about. Oh, changing seasons in a changing sky. Changes happening to you and I. You and I. You and I. Well, thank you. That was kind of a new one. All right, here he goes. Master Disaster. This boy's got 2 degrees of bebop. a PhD in swing. He's a master of rhythm. He's a rock and roll king. Please welcome to the stage one time, Mr. Gaylord, Big Daddy Eduardo M. Cool Dubois. You got a beer? All right, that means we're set. All right. Instrumental opening, okay? Yeah. Here we go. Middle of the week, drinking in the bars, tension building between us, conversations in the car. Well, I guess that I must have had one too many, cause the words just started to flow. Came home yelling and screaming and fighting, and now the neighbors know. Well, you said that you caught me looking at other girls, but I saw the guys all looking at you and the way you shook your curl. Well, maybe I should practice some self-control, but then baby, so should you. And maybe we should start all over again like we were when our love was new. Cause you know it's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. It's true, well it's true. Always hurt the one you really care about. It's true, well, it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. Yeah, we went round for round, deep into the night. Well, I can't remember the last time that we had such a knockdown fight. Well, you threatened to leave and I said go, and you smiled and told me no. You may have been buried till the house was shaking, and now the neighbors know. Yeah, they know it's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really care about. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really care about. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. It's true, well it's true. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really care about. It's true, well it's true. You always hurt the one you really love. All right, here's one kind of put together called Under the Gun. Wait a minute, let's start this over. We need some kick drum here. Down the alley, make it to the street, yeah, lots of road rally. There's a lot of cars on the same highway, traveling together till someone turns on. Take it to the living now, red line, red line. Searching in the darkness, searching for a sign. Life's a lonely highway, I'm so glad you're mine. People rushing everywhere, always on the run. Living with the hammer down under the gun. There's no freeway, everything costs. And if it's not money, then it's time that's lost. Lots of militaries, lots of bullets too. Lots of pocket meters and into school. Take it to the living now, red line, red line. Searching in the darkness, searching for a sign. Life's a lonely highway, I'm so glad you're mine. People rushing everywhere, always on the run. Living with the hammer down under the gun. No time to think, no time to wait. Yeah, I've got to keep on schedule, no, I can't be late. Fast food, fast cars, fast lane, fast time. No time to rest, no time to run away. Take it to the living now, red line, red line, red line, red line. Searching in the darkness, searching for a sign. Life's a lonely highway, I'm so glad you're mine. People rushing everywhere, always on the run. Living with the hammer down under the gun. All right. Zane times, okay. All right, we're going to do a brand new one for both of us here. Just wrote it real recently. And it's kind of a fun, and this one's going to go, we're going to dedicate this one to Angie Carey, who's out in the audience there. It's for you, Angie. This beer's for me. It's all too plain to see. Warmth in your eyes, even when you smile at me. Get next to you, I can't get the time of day. It's almost like I'm just not there. This is why you hear me list to make your life easier. Sweet Stevie guy, ain't no use for me. Never have I felt so low, got my back up against the ground. Like a crossed out, tossed out, I don't think I'll jump in the river and drown. For a brief moment in time, I was the object of your desire. Now I'm just an object, I'm no longer required. Just another notch on your lipstick case, just another blood on my pride, just another song with a bow diddly beep out a roller coaster ride. And I'm feeling like a crossed out item on your list to make your life easier. Feel like last week's TV guy, ain't no reason, no use for me. Never have I felt so low, got my back up against the ground. Feeling like a crossed out, tossed out, I don't think I'll jump in the river and drown. Hey! It'll be alright, it'll be okay, this ain't the end of the line. Ain't gonna get no burning torch, ain't gonna build you no shrine. Talk about your role reversal, it must be a karma thing. What goes around comes around, and this is why you hear me sing. I'm feeling like a crossed out item on your list to make your life easier. Feeling like last week's TV guy, ain't no reason, no use for me. Never have I felt so low, got my back up against the ground. I feel like a crossed out, tossed down, I'm never in the river and drown. Yeah, that one's real new.
That's something we know.
All right, this is a song of Rob's that is going to go on his album coming out. It's called Still the Fire Burns.
All right, we're going to have to crank it up here.
Swirling darkness, pain and confusion, you entered into my world of illusion. Bursting like a bright blue morning, you chased away my night. You knew just what to do, you knew just what it would take to break through my paranoid defenses. Yeah, you blew them all away. Still the fire burns. Are you still driving wild, still making me crazy? Turns. Oh, I'll be sad and lonely if you ever left me. Give me all my life to live. Street angel of love, you're so fine. Sometimes love's a raging river, a promise made but not delivered. Dark undercurrents of tension and unrest. Sometimes love's a paradise, warmth and comfort in all things nice. On an island of calmness in this sea of insanity. Still the fire burns. Are you still driving wild, still making me crazy? Still the love light turns. Oh, I'll be sad and lonely if you ever let me. Give me the love, my life to live. Street angel of love, you're so fine. not always all that easy. Love's not always all that same. Sometimes love's a watercolor that's been left out in the rain. But most of love's a shining light. Now there's vision where there was no sight. And I wouldn't change one moment of the time I spent with you. Still the fire burns. Are you still driving while still making me crazy? Still the love light turns. Oh, I'd be sad and lonely if you ever left me. Give me love, my life to be a street angel of mother so fine. Street angel of love, you are mine.
Okay, we're going to do one more quick one and turn the stage over. Stage over.
Well, it's never enough, yeah, I always want more. Got to get just a little bit higher. Whatever it takes, just pass it around. Been a long day and I'm out to get wired. Yeah, I've been going all day now, it's time to catch a buzz. Forget about my problems and maybe fall in love. Mr. Party, party with me. Mr. Party, keep me company. Well, most of my friends are just like me. Party every night and red out in the morning. Well, I can't get to sleep, though I shouldn't be awake. I'm all wound up while you little girls take warning. Yeah, I've been going all day now. It's time to catch a buzz.